Today we are going to discuss one of the important arthritis, is most common and most widely talked about. This is called gout. The gouty arthritis. Gout. What is gout? Gout is a disorder. Is a metabolic disorder. Gout is a metabolic disorder in which deposition of crystals of monosodium urate, crystal of monosodium urate results in one or more clinical presentation. What are the more common clinical presentation in case of gout? The first is gouty arthritis. Gouty arthritis. One of the joints in your body get involved in your body in this disease or leading to arthritis, and that cause gouty arthritis. The most common among it involves usually the foot and hands, especially the first metatarsophalangeal joint, first MP joint of grade 2, MP joints of grade 2 of grade 2. Most commonly it involves MP joint of grade 2. The other joints can be involved in knee, wrist, and shoulder. It's also involved, but most common is MP joints of. And second presentation is goutinous trophy. This crystal may deposit into subcutaneous areas, especially in the ear lobules, helix and antihelix. The most common presentation is helix, and in antihelix of the ear, it may present on the subcutaneous tissue, around the joints, periarticular areas. It may involve. So this crystal deposition in subcutaneous tissue is called topha, and so this gouty topha may be found around the joint, in the bone, in the soft tissue. And third is gouty nephropathy. This gout can lead to different types of nephropathy. So it's a gouty nephropathy, renal disease. It lead to gout may lead to renal disease. Gout may lead to renal disease. This is called gouty nephropathy. And fourth one is uric acid stone may form in the urinary tract. In the urinary tract, uric acid stone may form. So these four clinical presentations you will find. The most common presentation is gouty arthritis. Most common presentation is gouty arthritis, but you may find one or different modes of this nephropathy associated with arthritis. Sometimes you get a uric acid stone and only uric acid stone or something. So most different types of clinical presentation may have, but the most common is gouty arthritis in this scenario. Hyperuricemia. The blood level of uric acid. Elevated level of uric acid in blood is called hyperuricemia. This hyperuricemia is the most common denominator leading to clinical symptoms. But every patient suffer with hyperuricemia may not need it. It is a case of gout. So this gout is due to hyperuricemia. Hyperuricemic state leads to gout. But each and every patient of hyperuricemia may not have gout. So you must be clear in mind. See, gout is, if the hyperuricemia lead to clinical feature, either arthritis or uric acid stone formation or tophi or nephropathy, then it is called gout. If it is not, only elevated level of you find in case of just you go and take the blood and test. The blood level of uric acid is above 7. Usually it is usually 7 milligram per deciliter. This is 7. If it is less than 7, it's more than 7. It is 8, 9, 10. It's not necessary it is a God. It is a case of hyperuricemia. This patient may lead to clinical manifestation of God. So you must have it clear in mind that each and every case of hyperuricemia is not necessary to is called a God, but God is usually predominated by the hyperuricemic state. Hyperuricemic state may lead to God, but each and every patient of hyperuricemia may not have God. So it must be clear in mind. Second thing, the most frequent in this God is most frequent in adult male. This is most frequent in adult male. Adult male is the most common person who is having this God, and peak is in 5th decade. Around 5th decade, after 40, a man of after 40 usually develop this God. This is arthritis. Usually this is most common inflammatory. This is the most common inflammatory arthritis in man over age of 30. After age of 30, if the patient have some problem arthritis or you think it is inflammatory arthritis, you must think it might be God. It might be God. After age of 30, or you think it is inflammatory arthritis, you must suspect it might be a case of God. So this is because it's very common, most common inflammatory arthritis in man over, not in women. This is important. Rarely in man before adolescence, in childhood, in puberty age, before adolescence, it is very rare you find a case of God, and it's very rare. Especially it is very rare the women before menopause. Before menopause, you rarely find a female suffering with gods. So usually it is a problem of man after adolescence and women after menopause. So these things you have to keep in mind. This is a clinical finding. It has been an epidemiological study shows this. This is not why this is happening. This is great debate. What are this estrogen helps to maintain the excretion of uric acid. It decreases the synthesis of uric acid. How this happens? These are the very genetic and environmental factors leading to this problem. So this is going on to find what is the reason behind this. But exact reason is still not find out. But the debate is going on. But this is a potential finding. The man before adolescence or women before menopause never develop. Usually rarely develop. Very rarest form of arthritis in God you may find in these groups.
Yes.
Pathogenesis of God. How this God or hyperuricemic state develops. Basically, this is a disease of purine metabolism. Purine catabolizes finally into the hypoxanthine, and then xanthine to hypoxanthine to xanthine, and xanthine to uric acid. Here xanthine oxidase, both please, xanthine oxidase, purine finally break down, leads to in the stages hypoxanthine that lead to uric xanthine, and xanthine oxidase work here, xanthine oxidase work here, and then that xanthine converted to the uric acid. It last forming purine metabolism leads to uric acid formation. The normal phenomena. And this uric acid is excreted through the kidney. This uric acid is excreted through the kidney. Through the kidney, this is excreted. But It depends upon the solubility of the uric acid. It depends on the solubility of the uric acid, and this solubility is done by the uricase enzyme. Uricase enzyme that lead to breakdown of uric acid to become soluble in water, so it can be excreted through the skin. So this is purine metabolism. Finally lead to hypoxanthine formation. Hypoxanthine lead to xanthine formation. Xanthine lead to uric acid, and this uric acid is becomes soluble. Soluble stage it will form by the uricase and that enzyme, and this soluble state of the uric acid is excreted through the kidney. This is the whole mechanism. It's like this. But if either environmental factor or genetic factor, may lead to disturbance anywhere in this pathway, lead to insolubility of this urate, and then that insoluble urate is usually formed in the shape of monosodium urate, and this monosodium urate get deposited elsewhere in your joint, in your kidney, and the other interstitial tissues, in the soft tissues. So that leads to the problem. So solubility of the sodium urate, if get decreased, if the solubility of the sodium urate get disturbed, decreases, then lead to the problems. If temperature is lower, so solubility of the sodium is lower, because usually find this topaz usually find in the cooler space like ear, feet and hand. There is a warm, which is not found in the warmer place. It is found in the cooler place of the different areas like ear, hands and feet. So this one it signify the lower down of temperature may lead to insolubility of sodium urate. So this is the phenomenon. If the sustained hyperuricemic state sustained, if hyperuricemic state comes and again lead to the normal uricemic state, that's no problem. But if hyperuricemic state persists for longer time or is sustained hyperuricemic state in your body lead to development of microtropha in cells of synovial linings of the joint. What is tropha is for? This is microtropha found in the synovial tissues and cells of synovial tissues. And the cartilage, already we have discussed, the cartilage is made of proteoglycan, collagen. So these proteoglycans has great affinity for urate. These proteoglycans have great affinity for urate. So this macrotropha goes into the joint in the synovial linings. This proteoglycan also have the affinity for urate, and these two lead to development of increased amount of monosodium urate in the joint. This lead to more and more monosodium urate in your joint. So this systems may develop even trauma. Trauma lead to arthritis. Trauma again it leads to this sustained tropha formation and proteoglycan and activation of the proteoglycan or inflammation in the synovial joint. Again it takes the tropha formation and the unequal absorption of water in urine. If in the body water is absorbed less and urate get deposited. If urate or water both are get absorbed normally, no problem. From the kidney, if there is any problem in the kidney, so that lead to more absorption of urate and excretion of more water, then again lead to different kinds of arthritis. So urinary problems also lead to arthritis. So these all together lead to precipitation of the urate crystal, precipitation of urate, and if this precipitation of urate lead to urate crystal formation. If the urate is precipitated in the joint, if the urate gets precipitated in the joint, that lead to crystal formation in urate crystal formation in the joint, urate crystal formation in the joint, and this urate if crystal get deposited in your body, in your joint, that lead to acute exacerbation, acute arthritis. Acute arthritis. How this happen? If this in the synovial lining or somewhere, if the crystals become more, this WBC, your leukocyte in the joint, phagocyte the crystals and lead to chemotatic factor. And this lead to chemotatic factor, this lead to activation of Kallikrein system and activation of complement system. Activation of Kallikrein system and activation of complement system. This leads to lysosome found in the WBC get damaged, disrupted. Disruption of lysosome found in the, and that lead to this your joint become full with lysosomal product. This lysosomal product lead to different kinds of inflammation, and that lead to low inflammatory joint in your body. So then the joint becomes swollen, tender, usually swollen, tender, joint will find. So this is due to breakdown of lysosome. So this how this purine metabolism lead to final acute arthritis. So this is the pathogenesis of gout. You will find asymptomatic hyperuricemia state. Asymptomatic hyperuricemia. You may find the case of acute gouty arthritis. You may find chronic prophylaxis gout. You may find gouty nephropathy. You may find uric acid stone formation. So these 5 types of clinical features you may find. The most common form of gout is acute gouty arthritis. Acute gouty arthritis is the most common form. And the most commonly empty joints of metatarsophalangeal joint of great toe. Metatarsophalangeal joint of great toe is most commonly involved. Or this involvement of great toe, this is called podagra. Podagra is the most common presentation of acute gouty arthritis. You must keep in mind, podagra is the most common presentation of gouty arthritis. If you find there is a pain and swelling in the first MP joint or MP joint of great toe, you must your first diagnosis must be this case of gout. Your first diagnosis must be this case of gout. Nothing else. It is a case of gout. So that this is most common place where you find gout. If you find something in hand also, in some cases you may find gout in hand, features of MP joints of hand, then it is called chiragra. But chiragra is very rare. But podagra is most common. Ankle joint may involve, tarsal joint may involve, knee may involve in this case. Usually it involves in the first attack of acute arthritis, acute gouty arthritis, usually the single joint, most commonly in the MP joint of great toe. It usually starts in night and awakens the patient due to very severe pain and swelling that lead to awakening from in the night from the sleep. So the patient will come to you, sir, I have really serious pain in my joint, usually in the great toe, but this is sudden onset and severe in nature. So once it's going to sit in my foot is going to break. The bone is going to break. I do something to relieve my pain. Nothing from I can have. So severe. Pain is so severe. Usually at night, awaken the pain appreciate. Unexplained pain and swelling. Unexplained. You find unexplained. You are thinking, what is the reason of this pain and swelling? Why this is so much pain you are having? So this is called unexplained. You are not going to explain very clearly why this is happening. So it's unexplained pain and swelling around the single joint, especially MP joint. You must think it is a case of gouty arthritis. It's not unless otherwise proved. So it is case of acute gouty arthritis. You must know. Normally between 3 to 10 days. Within 3 to 10 days it gets subsided. But subsequent attack may lead to more joint may get involved. It may persist for longer time. And again after that first attack, second attack, third attack, it get more frequent. This is frequency get more and more frequent, and more and more joint get involved. This joint and the other joint also get involved. And persist for longer time than 3 to 10 days. So chronicity will increase after first attack. Chronic tophaceous gout is usually helix and antihelix. Normally it can ulcerate. So you will find a chalky and pasty material in these areas. Secondary degeneration of arthritis. Secondary arthritis main gout due to subsequent attack lead to of the gouty arthritis lead to changes in the cartilage, and that lead to secondary arthritis. Or it may find this is found in the gout also. It is an Achilles tendon or something else. So severe pain you find in these areas. It may lead to carpal tunnel syndrome with deposition of the root crystal in the carpal tunnel syndrome. Carpal tunnel that lead to carpal tunnel syndrome. So these are the features you may find in case of acute gouty arthritis. Diagnosis of gout is usually the symptoms as we have already discussed. A perfect diagnosis is made on joint fluid analysis. Nothing other test will help you proper diagnosis. If you want to exact and appropriate diagnosis, then you have to go for joint fluid analysis. You will find in joint fluid? Needle-shaped crystal of 3 to 20 macron. Needle-shaped crystal of 3 to 20 macron. This is polarized in polarizing macroscopy. What will show? That it shows the birefringence negative. Negatively birefringence. Refringence means double refraction. So if you find it negative, in polarizing macroscopy it is negative. This crystal is there. You find a crystal is there, but in case of polarizing macroscopy you find negative problem. If you find a crystal, usually rod-shaped crystal, but it is a birefringence positive. You find it pseudo-gout. You find it is case of pseudo-gout. Calcium pyrophosphate disease, CPPD. Calcium pyrophosphate disease. In case of pseudo-gout you find birefringence positive. In case of gout you find birefringence negative. So this is how you can make a diagnosis. Normally clinical feature is the best one. And if you want to do some test, you go for normal hemogram, you do normal X-ray, but you rarely find a very conclusive result from that. if you sure these all tests get negative, but still you find the swelling and you want to clear your diagnosis, then you go for joint fluid analysis and protein microscopy. This is diagnostic. This is diagnostic test. Then come to the treatment. What is the basic aim of our treatment? Because it is a case of purine metabolism. Purine is an amino acid. It is very essential, very essential amino acid that lead to different CMP, GMP, and also electric acid. So where there is you need energy. So this purine is very important for your nucleic acids formations also. DNA, RNA, so if inverse, it's a very important thing in the body. So you cannot stop purine metabolism which is going on. You want to survive, so purine metabolism will be there in your body. So what will be your aim? So what will be your aim? Aim of our treatment is to terminate the acute attack. If the pain is so severe, so severity of the pain must lessen. Severity of the pain must lessen. Termination of the acute attack is important. Prevent recurrence. So, in the second attack is more frequent, third attack is more frequent. So, prevent recurrence. So, such kinds of pain. So, nobody like that severe pain. So, prevent recurrence. Prevent or reverse complication. If this lead to joint deformity, joint arthritis, secondary arthritis, kidney problem, and other problem, and deposition in other soft tissues. So prevent or reverse complications of this arthritis and prevent or reverse associated symptoms like obesity, hypertension, and hypertension. So you have to reverse these things also. And prevent kidney stone formation or diabetic nephropathy, Gouty nephropathy. So you have to prevent Gouty nephropathy or kidney stone formation. So these 5 aims we have to treat these patients. This is important to keep in mind. What I want to. So in this disease you cannot eradicate this disease from your body. So it will hydroxyurea uric acid formation is going on. So solubility must be maintained, excretion must be proper. So crystal formation must be lessened. So this is a basic aim. The crystal formation must be lessened in the body. That is our aim of the treatment. So that leads to different problems. Treatment historically, colchicine is the most effective drug of choice. Colchicine was the drug of choice in case of gout. Colchicine is the drug of choice in case of gout. It was in history. Presently, it is not used because of toxicity. Normally, orally, it was given 0.5 milligram hourly or 1 milligram 2 hourly because half-life of colchicine is 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours. Till one of the 3 events occur. 0.5 milligram hourly or 1 milligram 2 hourly will have given. When to stop? If significant improvement in pain. If you find a significant improvement in pain, if GI toxicity occur, nausea, vomiting, something, if abdominal pain is start, so stop there. And if the total dose goes up to 8 milligram, if these things can happen, we stop there. If you have given 8 milligram, even not colchicine is effective, and it's not you have find a significant improvement, then you have to think for other. Or GI toxicity, you can put up. Or if pain is smoke, okay, it's fine. You can give colchicine IV should not exceed 3 milligram. It should not exceed 3 grams. So these colchicine, due to toxicity, it is not used today. Basically, historically it was used the best drug in controlling the GOT, but due to toxicity, it gets stopped. Next common thing is for controlling the pain is NSAID. Different kinds of NSAID you can give. So there are so many kinds of analgesics you have. So but some person find indomethacin is very active. Few person say indomethacin is very active, very important, effective in controlling the pain. But what I found, etrocoxib is very important. Etrocoxib 120 milligram per kg 120 milligram 3 times, 2 times, 3 times daily is very, very effective in controlling the pain of GOT. What I feel, this is my protocol. I am giving etrocoxib very frequently. But indomethacin or whatever NSAID, it also has the GI toxicity. Colchicine also has a GI toxicity. If you and the GI toxicity is very severe, patient, you cannot give these things, then you start oral corticosteroids. You start oral corticosteroid 20 to 40 milligram per day, 3 to 4 days, then taper 1 to 2 weeks. So this way you can control the. But how to prophylactically what to use to prevent the further attack, further disease problems, nephropathy. For prophylactic use, colchicine is again the very important drug. So you can use colchicine 0.5 milligram twice daily. You can use colchicine. You can use indomethacin for prophylactic drug. You have to reduce the obesity. You must control the obesity. If you must avoid the precipitating factor. You must avoid the precipitating factor like alcohol. So if you develop GOT in your life, so you abandon the alcohol. This is very important. You have to abandon the diet which are rich in purine. You must stop to take. You must stop or you must minimize to take the diet which is rich in purine like red meat. So protein containing things. So you have to cut down these things to avoid this problem. And start anti-hyperuricemic therapy. So anti-hyperuricemic therapy you should start. These are the prophylactic. Anti-hyperuricemic therapy consists of two things. One is increase the urinary excretion of uric acid. Increase the urinary excretion of uric acid. This is called uricosuric agent. And other is decrease the synthesis of uric acid. Decrease uric acid synthesis. Decrease uric acid synthesis or increases the uric acid excretion. So at the two level you can give this drug. The most common drug used as a uricosuric agent is Probenecid, 250 milligram twice daily. You can increase up to 1 to 8 grams. Several weeks you can give. Aim is to decrease the uric acid, blood uric acid below 7. Uric acid below 7. Today some people are saying below 60, below 6 milligram. But normally it is below 7, it is standard. So these two drugs, Probenecid and sulfenperazone. Sulfenperazone is nothing but a derivative of phenylbutazone. It's a derivative of phenylbutazone, sulfenperazone. 50 milligram twice daily, go up to 3 to 400, maximum 800 milligram. This Probenecid and sulfenperazone act as a uricosuric agent it increases the excretion of uric acid from kidney. And if you choose lessen the uric acid synthesis, so allopurinol is the best drug. Allopurinol is the best drug. Allopurinol is half-life 2 to 3 hours. It's converted into oxypurinol. Allopurinol in body converted to oxypurinol. Its half-life is 18 to 20 hours, 18 to 30 hours. Allopurinol 2 to 3 hours is half-life. Half-life is this. How it acts? It basically acts as an inhibitor of xanthine oxidase. Just before we have talked about purine to hypoxanthine, hypoxanthine to xanthine, xanthine converted to the uric acid. At these two levels, hypoxanthine to xanthine and xanthine to uric acid, you need xanthine oxidase enzyme. So it inhibits the xanthine oxidase, so production of uric acid gets lessened by giving the allopurinol. So all allopurinol work. How to stop the uric acid formation? It inhibits the xanthine oxidase. So uric acid formation become less and less by giving the allopurinol. How much it is given? It is given 300 milligram per day. 300 milligram per day you can give allopurinol. So these two drugs, allopurinol, if you want to choose which drug you have to start, I should go for uricosuric agent or allopurinol. So most of the time allopurinol is a drug of choice. Why it is called a drug of choice, allopurinol? Because if uric acid excretion is more than 7, very high uric acid excretion is there, it means production is very high. So if excretion is very high, more than 700, that would lead to nephropathy, different kinds of obstructive nephropathy may lead to, or may lead to interstitial nephropathy disease. So if uric excretion is very high, then uricosuric agent is not so important. You have to go to stop the uric acid formation also. So this is very important, because this if uric excretion is above, that lead to some kinds of nephropathy is there. So avoid that, you go for allopurinol. If there is a renal impairment, if there is a renal disease, patient is suffering with renal disease, you cannot give uricosuric agent to increase excretion increase. In case of tophaceous GORD, this GORD is somewhere else in the body, so you need this allopurinol. In case of nephrolithiasis, already patient is having nephrolithiasis, so you should not give. If the uricosuric agent, you have given the uricosuric agent, but not responded that. If your GORD is not responded with uricosuric agent, so again you have to go for allopurinol. So for these things, allopurinol is considered as a drug of choice in case of GORD. Gouty nephropathy may occur in two forms. It may be either it is a urate nephropathy or obstructive uropathy. If your urate crystal, monosodium urate crystal, is deposited in the renal tissue that lead to urate nephropathy. If it is obstructed the kidney flow in the ureter, or in the renal tubules. If it deposited in the excretory tract, kidney extractive tract, if the flow is obstructed, then it is called obstructive uropathy. How to treat this gouty nephropathy? You must increase the urine flow. For that, you have to give proper hydration and diuretics. With that, usually furosemide is the choice. So hydration and start diuretics. if you diagnose a case of gouty nephropathy, you start alkalinizing the urine, because as much alkaline is there, urate becomes soluble to the water. So solubility of the urate is increased by alkalinity. So for that you should give sodium bicarbonate and acetazolamide, either sodium bicarbonate alone or with acetazolamide. These two make the urine alkaline. So alkalinity lead to increase the solubility of the uric acid. So increases the excretion of the urate from the kidney. The one mode of treatment. Another is you start allopurinol. How much allopurinol? 8 mg per kg body weight. You should start, or if till the symptoms get decreases, symptoms get controlled, then start 100 to 200 mg per day. So this way you can treat the diabetic nephropathy. If the patient has no problem, asymptomatic hyperuricemia is there, you find what to do. You just start the treatment. But think, if the symptoms arises, asymptomatic becomes symptomatic, then you start. If the patient is having a strong family history of GORD or renal disease, so you should start. So control it, because if you have a history of GORD, you have a history of some renal problem, so again it recur. So stop that. So start treatment to decrease the hyperuricemic state below 7. So start treatment with family history. Or if you examine the urine, or you find excretion is more than 1100 milligram per day. So if urinary excretion is very high, so again it will lead to some problem. So start treatment with allopurinol basically. So this in asymptomatic case, in 3 ways you can consider how to start treatment or not. So normally you should start treatment or allopurinol in the drug of choice. Although so many drugs is also come into picture, I am not going to talk about the statistics, but allopurinol is established as the best drug. Other drug, ferulic acid, is also come to, which is having some problem in the kidney. In case of heart problem, you should not give ferulic acid. Allopurinol is given in both, either it is a kidney problem, either it is a heart problem. So it should be the very safe drug. Allopurinol is still the very safe drug. So you have to start allopurinol in this scenario. And second thing is very important, they should avoid the alcohol and the purine containing substance in diet. Control your obesity, control your hypertension. These are the very important things to prevent the further attack on further complications. So this is all about. Thank you.